We're not asking for any special favors or special treatment because that's not what it's about. But there is a hurdle that exists. And if we don't try to remove that barrier a little bit and just expand some opportunities for them, they aren't going to end up in the same place as others because they have a different, unique set of circumstances that are facing them. My name is Bridget Dea. I'm an active duty Marine Corps spouse. I'm also the mother of an active duty Air Force spouse currently, and have moved countless times. I've played musical houses over and over, more times than I'd like to admit. I think the relocations overall are just the most difficult part. It's something that I've experienced and I've observed, and each new state or country has its own set of challenges that makes it kind of disruptive and a little bit stressful. The human aspect of that, it's one thing to say, oh, we're moving. What does that mean? We're going to pack up some boxes of our stuff and take it with us. Okay, that sounds simple enough on the surface, but if you're moving overseas, that can look like having to get certain permits in order to take your pets. There's a long list of disruptions that can take place during that move that can potentially end in family separation, which did happen to us on one of our moves. And there's really no way for you to know what's coming. So as you're trying to prepare yourself and you're doing the best that you can, it's the unknowns that make it difficult. You might have to handle those on your own without your spouse. And I'll never forget the first time that I arrived at a new duty station and had to make a list of emergency contacts. And it's like, who would I call if I wasn't available and I don't have family here and I don't have friends here? So you're asking people in the command, you're leaning on them now as your new family to kind of adopt you. More than anything, it's really instilled a deep commitment to pay it forward. When I was young, we didn't have the internet like we do now. It's a lot easier now that we have Facebook and obvious social media where you can lean in on the groups and you can get information. But in the beginning, I didn't have that. And it was very isolating. If I'm being honest, my first few moves were not fun for me. I had a young child and I didn't know how to put myself out there. I'm actually by nature an introvert, and I had to learn how to become extroverted in order to try to reestablish some of those roots. And early on, in order for me to do that, I had to push myself out of my comfort zone. But then also by the time that I did do it, we were packing and moving again. So at that point, you have to learn, you kind of come up with a game plan. How am I going to do this so that in the future you can do it quickly? And in that way, I would say that that's where it became very important to me, not only to gain the knowledge that other spouses had already learned on their own experiences, but to share the knowledge that I was gaining. It's kind of like the military spouse underground. And having that empowering moment of learning how to lean in and discuss some of the struggles so that you can find that you're not alone and find the resources is critical. You will find that as you talk to people, most have been there, and some of them might have a PhD in moving and could write the handbook for you. So if you can find a way to lean on those people, you're going to be better off in the long run. And in that way, I want to be one of those people. I want to be a conduit of information. I want to help another spouse. Hey, let's give you the easy button for this. It doesn't have to be this hard. Let us support you. The way that inspires me is just the advocacy for the equity, that we add a level of awareness to where it's a force multiplier as we're bringing forth these issues. And I'm a great example of how impactful remote work can be. For me, I've never had the opportunity to be able to network and grow in my career because I've always had to move. But my personal experience here is I was recruited from Okinawa, Japan for my current position. I was able to go remote with my position when I was impacted by military orders. And there was a moment in time where on a fundamental level, it impacted my financial stability to the point that it dictated which neighborhood I could live in, which home loan I can qualify for, whether or not I have to really pinch pennies and try to cut corners and not send my child to that club that could help them establish new connections in our new community because we don't have the money right now. We are not sure when I'm going to get a job, but it takes it to that next level of, okay, now these spouses have these new abilities and access to flexibilities at work that make sense for them. And when they have that, they can really grow and flourish in that environment. But at the end of the day, they need these things. It's not just because it's convenient to have. These are tools that make it so that they can maintain their lifestyles. The amount of return on investment for that employee, my level of loyalty and commitment for the USDA is very high. Not only will I advocate for them, I will do my job every day. I show up on time, excited to work, and how can I make a difference because they have invested in me. And having the ability to have that support is pretty much why I think this is so imperative. These flexibilities are going to change everything for military spouses. And without them, we're just staying stuck, and it's not helping anyone. It's not helping employers. It's not helping national security when it comes down to it. And it's not helping retention. So let's help the people that want to work and let it be dually beneficial. I would like for it to impact systematic change overall. Really, it's something that can pave the way for the private sector. It's something that can have lasting impacts, and just, as I kind of previously stated, for the spouse, it impacts these fundamental opportunities for them, but also it's going to impact the outcomes for the employers that hire them. So if they create the flexibilities that are compatible with the military lifestyle, then it encourages that element of stability overall, and it's a win-win. So where it can go, let's go ahead and make this the standard. Let's offer the spouses remote work opportunities. Let's offer the spouses the ability to have telework options when it's feasible. Let's extend the ability with the federal government to have a liaison that's there that can help walk the military spouse through it. I'll tell you now that as a military spouse early on, I didn't know how to apply for jobs through USA Jobs, that most simple thing. It just didn't exist. So the more awareness we bring to this, then the more access we're going to be able to provide to these families. And ultimately, it's really just going to make it so that they have that stability. One thing that I've learned throughout this entire process is that answers can come from the most unexpected places. If you asked me 3 or so years ago if I thought that I would work for the Department of Agriculture, that would not have even been on my radar. If you had asked me if I was going to become an advocate and be able to actually bring some awareness to these challenging issues, my answer would be no. I mean, I had worked in early intervention, I'd worked as a teacher, but I had never been a true advocate that was actually being able to impact change on a broader scale. I would say after becoming employed and finding these new avenues, using my voice, and then also just using the connections that we have, you'll find that we're in a like-minded community. So the ideas that we're having over here, we're also being echoed in other areas without even having conversations on the front end. We found, these connections. So ultimately, I would encourage the spouses more than anything to lean in, to talk to people, because you never know when the next opportunity will arise, whether it's, personally through networking and you're looking for a job, whether you're trying to impact change and become an advocate for something, whether you're just seeking answers and you need help finding the answers. The more that you talk to people, you will find yourself in the most unlikely of places, and you will find the answers that you seek. So in that way, know that there are people out there who have your back. We are all trying to pay it forward. We know what it's like to be in the trenches, and we are here to support each other.